Hey, this is Robert from R&R Engineering.
And Ray, and we're going to try our first video political talk shop, really with no format, just kind of running with current events, and yeah, so we figured we'd give it a shot and post it up on YouTube, and if it works, great, and we'll see what happens.
All right, Ray. So what's the topic of the day, man?
Well, let's just kind of touch on what we were talking about a few minutes ago. I think we had some pretty interesting things about free trade and opening up and closing down markets where we're losing jobs to help our people, because it's pretty clear to me that if we're gonna help get out of this problem that we're in, then we're gonna have to open up jobs to people here in the United States and or figure out a way to employ them and stop giving away so much of our.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, I think the free trade thing is detrimental to the United States, although the market tends to favor it, and so does the Conservative Party. Free trade always puts the United States at an imbalance, because our financial threshold for living and quality of life is so high that we're instantly at a disadvantage with countries that pay far less for their workers, are not regulated the way we are in terms of EPA, OSHA, all of those other things, health insurance and Social Security and that kind of thing. And so that always is going to leave us at a disadvantage. There will always be that country that could manufacture something for 30, 40 cents on the dollar versus what we do. And we have seen the manufacturing sector leave the country. We cannot be a service-based economy. It doesn't work. You have to manufacture something. And historically, we've passed legislation that moves the manufacturing sector out of our borders. And my position is, if we don't embark on some protectionist policies that keep jobs and keep the economy here in America, our current financial situation is not going to be doing well.
Yeah, that's interesting, because as you said before, it is going to have to change, and in order for us to have jobs here in America that reflect towards manufacturing, the playing field as a whole for a world economy is not level, and it makes it extremely near impossible, but extremely difficult to be competitive and sell products here made in the United States when you have to comply with all these rules and regulations, i.e. OSHA,
right? Let's say, for instance,
things like that. So how do we encourage people to foot the extra few bucks initially, because that's really what it's going to amount to?
Not necessarily. I mean, regulation is what's caused all of these costs to go up, which make American companies not profitable. I mean, let's take a look at two American icons that have basically left the country. One of them being Levi Strauss. They used to be made in San Francisco, and now they're not. And if I remember correctly, I think they're made in Brazil now. And the other one is Maytag. If you recall, RCA was the last holdout. Zenith lost, and RCA was the last electronics television firm here. And there is no American company that manufactures a television, whether it be a flat screen or anything else. They're gone, and it simply has to do with the overregulation of our industries and the ability of other countries who pay far less and have less regulation to produce those goods cheaper.
Well, is it possible that we could actually impose some kind of restrictions on free trade to say that if you want to have these companies outside the United States manufacture things, then you need to have a certain amount of them actually manufactured here also in the United States. So for every two you do outside of the United States, you got to create one inside the United States, like Toyota does with their vehicles.
Well, you absolutely can. However, you have to understand that the politics of this country are run by the corporations who fund their campaign financing.
Yeah.
And as long as you have an umbilical cord, so to speak, tied between Wall Street and Capitol Hill, nothing is ever going to change. These people that pump so much money into both parties, whether it be Republican or Democrat, want something in return. They don't pump millions of dollars into campaigns expecting nothing in return. This is not just some tax write-off contribution that they have at the end of the year because they have too much surplus money.
Yeah, but aren't we reaching the point to where politics and corporate politics, we're beyond that now. I mean,
oh, absolutely.
If people with society the way it is in the United States now don't make some kind of radical changes, I mean, our unemployment is obviously beyond 10% and
right.
Probably nearing close to 20%, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, currently we have an unemployment rate of 9.7%, but the reality is that there's many people who are not applying anymore due to ineligibility and that sort of thing, and so no one really knows what the unemployment rate is, but the general consensus seems to be that the unemployment is around 14 to 15%, and that's not accounting for the underemployed, and those are people who have had to take massive pay cuts just to keep their jobs. So, at what point do we reach that financial threshold where the population simply comes unglued? And basically, you're talking about the Tea Party and that kind of thing, and putting some serious pressure on Washington and exposing the corruption that's there. Because, like I said, there is that inextricable, I'm sorry for the mispronunciation, umbilical cord in between Wall Street and Capitol Hill. And as long as that exists, I mean, these are big fat cats that play this game. And those of us in the blue collar sector, I mean, have really no understanding of how intertwined these two entities really are. And I think that if we don't do something, what is that threshold where the American public really just absolutely comes unglued and can't take it anymore?
Yeah. Well, I do know that today I read on MSNBC's Real Short Story, they were talking actually about how a lot of the unemployment benefits are about to expire and whether or not Congress is going to do something to extend those things.
How can we afford it?
Well, how can you not afford it,
right.
I guess, is the thing. But again, it's about making sure that people who are unemployed and collecting some kind of social benefits like unemployment are actually doing something productive with their time. If they're unable to actually find a job, then why can't we?
Then you're going back to the Great Society, which is what we did during the Great Depression.
I'm not talking about let's dig a hole and bury it, but
right.
You know what? There's actual things that we could do that could benefit us. I mean, even if it's picking up trash or pulling weeds, there's always something productive that can be done.
Look, going back to doing some kind of embargo type of situation, you need to remember the 80s. I mean, Ronald Reagan did this with the Japanese. Basically, we had a trade imbalance where we sold Toyotas here in this country, and they were the number one selling car. I believe the Honda Accord was. But they wouldn't, out of national pride, they wouldn't sell a Buick in their showroom floors. And basically, Ronald Reagan said, listen, we have a serious trade imbalance, and we're going to put some serious tariffs on your products. And if you look at it historically, the price of imports went up. And part of that deal was that they build these cars in America, which they have done. But at the end of the day, the net proceeds still go back to a different country. We need to seriously explore some policies that protect the American worker, and the only way to do that is to look at the cheaper goods being purchased from around the world and say we can't buy this much from other countries. If you're going to stimulate the economy, stimulate the manufacturing sector, you have to contemplate that avenue.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, I think we're gonna stop there and see how this works. We're gonna post it up on YouTube, and hopefully we'll get some feedback. And we're gonna continue to do these 10-minute segments just for the hell of it. So, if you got any comments, leave them. If you like them, if you like us, great. If you don't, that's fine. Also, have an opinion. It's always good to have an opinion. So, I'm Ray.
And I'm Robert.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.